In a world where podcasts are recorded somewhat infrequently, but they're pretty good because the creators said they were, and you take their word for it. This is Strange Old Men.
In a strange old cave. Close your eyes. Imagine you're in that world. A world where podcasts are recorded at the whim of the creators, not based on any schedule. Now open your eyes. You're in that world right now.
You are in the Strange Old Men in a Strange Old Cave's cave.
The Strange Old Men cinematic universe.
The strange. Well, that would be a really long acronym.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. No, I'm not even gonna try, even though it probably would take me a minute. I guess I just don't care that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome to Strange Old Men in the Strange Old Cave, the podcast where we have our own cinematic universe. Do any other podcasts you know have a cinematic universe?
No, because even we don't.
Shush, they don't know that yet. Well, crap, I guess the beans have been spilled. We don't have a cinematic universe.
No, our deal didn't go through with J.J. Abrams.
No. I don't understand why he, denied it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's we were really excited. We think we could have done some great work.
Yeah.
You know, there was so much that was riding on it. Like there was going to be a crossover show with the new trilogy of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was gonna be kind of like a talk show, like Conan or something.
Yeah, we would have had the actual characters on.
Yeah, and we would have had like a live band too. It would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the movie. Although I refuse to have Michael Bay work on it because, well, unless he did solely special effects, then
Yeah, and that might have actually been the sticking point of why the deal didn't go through because he refused to have
Michael Bay work on. We refused to have him direct it. I guess that would be a better word. Because frankly, he's really good at special effects.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't pay any attention to his script at all.
Mm-hmm.
Except apparently he did direct Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, and it was terrible.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, have you seen it?
Not really.
It's hecka bad.
Oh,
it's real bad.
Oh man, that's kind of a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know why it was bad? Because they didn't have Steven Spielberg direct it.
Mm-hmm. I think my favorite World War II movie is Enemy at the Gates. No, I'm kidding. Though watch Enemy at the Gates. It's not realistic at all.
But it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched that movie in years. I'll probably have to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's all I remember is everybody remembers the opening scene with the oh my god. Everybody remembers the opening scene with
except Harrison. He doesn't remember it.
Well, no, I remember it. I'm just trying to find the words. Like the Russians are in the boats going across the Volga.
Yeah.
And they're getting dive bombed and shot, and it's really kind of brutal. But I remember the scene where Ron Howard is trying to jump from one building to another building, and as he jumps, he gets shot in the head.
Oh, I remember that. That was kind of cool, though.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch that. Speaking of World War II movies, quite some time ago, Harrison and I saw Dunkirk.
Yeah, boy, we haven't talked about Dunkirk.
Yeah, and you and I only really talked about it once, and that was after we saw it, right after. Let's see. how that was a long time ago. That was almost a month ago.
Hmm. Um,
Yeah, so I guess
yeah, that was a while ago.
yeah, it's been forever since we've recorded because we've been busy. I've been gone for like within the past three. I guess let's in the past three. No, but probably the past 2 weeks or so. I've only been home for like 4 of those days.
Hmm.
It
Yeah, it's
yeah.
been a
I'm
hectic time.
yeah. Yeah, I was down in like LA, that area for work for an entire week. And then I was at a friend's house with Harrison.
Hmm. In
Uh
Sacramento.
yeah, we were all chilling and well, we didn't grill anything. So I can't say chilling and grilling.
Hmm. We
Uh
were chilling and D&D.
yeah. Also, meta game. It's like Cards Against Humanity but with game modes and uh probably won't get as stale after a while.
Hmm.
I can see it getting a little stale sometimes, but the fact that it has multiple.
D&D?
No, metagame.
Oh,
That card game.
yeah, yeah.
I. So, so a little side note. I was. I mentioned Cards Against Humanity to my mom, and she's like, "What is?" She's like, "What's Cards Against Humanity?" Like she's heard about it, but she didn't really know what it was. I'm like, it's
Hmm.
like it's like kind of a raunchy apples to apples, and she's just like, "I've never played apples to apples," and I'm like, "What?"
I think
It's
Apples to Apples is better than Cards Against Humanity, to be honest. Because, actually, no, sorry, I interrupted you.
no, it's fine.
All right.
Uh,
Oh, sorry.
oh no, you go.
Continue. Okay, well, I think Cards Against Humanity is kind of a crappy game because it makes the jokes for you. Um, it it's just it's like it's funny because it's gross. Get it? Because it's inappropriate and that's why it's funny. And I think it's funny because I think Apples to Apples is funny because you try to create the implication instead of just relying on the cards to do it for you.
Yeah. Now, Cards Against Humanity can be fun. It's fun for a little
Hmm.
bit, but then it can get stale pretty quickly. Uh, and that's like after playing, it's like, huh? Oh, hey, another like weird sexual poop joke.
Hmm.
Another one. Come on,
Sex
guy.
poop. Sex poop.
Fleetwood
The
Mac, sex
worst.
pants,
The worst kind.
or the best kind.
Sex poop.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Fleetwood Mac, sex pants,
Oh.
which is the name of my band, or better yet, Fleetwood Mac.
Thanks, Andy.
Parks and Rec was such a good show.
I recently finished it, and it is a really good show.
I uh, actually just finished The Man in the High Castle season 2. Like I finished it probably 15 minutes ago. Oh wait,
Hmm.
we started the Skype call about 15 minutes ago, so my bad. I guess 20
Have
minutes
we?
ago.
No. Oh, we started the Skype call, not the recording.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I really liked it, and I actually recently got the book too.
Hmm.
Because it was originally a book written in like the late, I think it was written in the late '60s, and then Amazon turned it into a show, and it's pretty freaking good. It's Amazon Prime, like it's a Prime exclusive. So if you have Prime, uh, you can watch it because you have a Prime subscription, and if you don't, well, get a Prime subscription because it's worth it.
Yeah. It really is.
Oh,
Got
Amazon,
that 2-day delivery.
yeah, it's so nice.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, back to Dunkirk, I guess, talking about that.
Hmm.
Or let's start talking about that, I should say.
Yeah. What did we like about it?
So, I guess I'll give a brief synopsis, and then I guess you could maybe tack on if you want to, build on it if you so desire. But so the brief synopsis of it is, it's it's about the Battle of Dunkirk. Hey, most people probably
Hmm.
haven't heard of it. Um, because the U.S. had zero involvement in it whatsoever. So at least people in the U.S. probably don't know a whole lot about it. Unless you're probably like a well, I don't know. I want to say unless you've taken a world history class, but then again you probably forgot because people didn't go in, or at least I don't remember my teacher going super in depth about it. But anywho, so the Battle of Dunkirk, it follows the perspective of three different people in Dunkirk. Real quick, I should probably talk about the battle real quick.
Well, not three different people, three different groups of people. Yeah.
Perspectives, I should say. But anyways, the Battle of Dunkirk was. Dunkirk is a small little port city, in like northern France. And during World War II, when the Nazis were starting their first kind of conquering everything phase, um, the British sent help to the French, and they were getting their crap pushed in because Blitzkrieg was very effective.
Yep.
And so the British and the French ended up getting pushed all like into this small port town of Dunkirk, and so they were literally surrounded. And
they were stuck in this town, blockaded on every side,
yeah,
except the sea.
Yeah, and what ended up happening is, a bunch like after I'm not sure how long they were all like barricaded in the city. But after a while, the the Germans would sink a bunch of boats that were trying to leave, and they're, like military boats, hospital boats that were military, I guess.
Yeah.
And so
trying to bring men away.
Yeah. And so what civilians ended up doing is they ended up taking any kind of boat they had, whether it was like a little fishing boat or a yacht or whatever, and they would cross the channel and they would pick up soldiers, and like a lot of people did that, and they kind of went back and forth doing that until they got everyone out.
Yeah, however, they were ordered by the government to do this, which doesn't make it any less heroic, but they were ordered by the government to do this.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure people would have been like, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, well, they reference it in the movie.
Oh, really?
They talk about how the government ordered, because remember when before the Mr. I don't remember his name. He played the BFG in the BFG movie. I guess his boat was, there were like in Royal Navy personnel walking around and telling everybody to go. And that was the same in other areas. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay. But anyways, so a bunch of civilians in like their own boats, if they owned one, went and took all the soldiers out. Mm-hmm. So the movie now, it it had three different perspectives. It had soldiers in Dunkirk trying to escape. Mainly followed this one person. He was the main guy, and then he kind of tagged along with this other guy, and then found a little group later. And it's about them just trying to escape. And then the second perspective was a civilian, where this dad and his son's friend, boating, I don't know, whatever you... transporting their aquatic vehicle.
Sailing?
I guess.
Well, they weren't sailing. Well, no, they were sailing, I guess. Sailing is kind of a general adjective for moving a boat. Or, a general verb for moving a boat. Doesn't necessarily mean your boat has sails.
Yeah. Anyways, they were sailing out to Dunkirk. And it followed them. And then the last perspective was this like group of fighter pilots that were part of the Royal Air Force. And so the movie was done non-linearly. So that's So it was kind of confusing at first. It was me trying to figure everything out
Yeah,
until
like you'd see it, the movie doesn't tell you. Well, it does kind of tell you that it's filmed non-linearly, but it gets even weirder after that. Like it tells you when in time because the three different perspectives happen like the story on the boat takes place one day before the rescue. The story on the beaches takes place 1 week before the rescue, and the story on in the air takes place 1 hour before the rescue, which can make things kind of confusing. Um, and it also means you see you see the same event happening from three different perspectives, 3 different times. Like there's this one scene where there's this one event where a British ship got bombed by an HE-111 and it happened 3 different. They showed this 3 different times. They showed this event 3 different times, and they didn't tell you, um, and you kind of had to figure out that that's what was happening.
yeah,
The movie didn't tell you. Well, it did, but not. It
in a
was
very
you had to
clever
figure it
way.
out. Yeah, very subtly.
Yeah. So it was a very non-linear. So until kind of the end, when all the perspectives lined up.
Hmm.
Um, and so this is a war movie, World War II movie, whatever. But there's not a whole lot of actual, like, there's not a whole lot of combat. However,
Yeah, a lot of it's just tension.
it's a lot of tension that's done pretty well.
Hmm.
Um, so that kind of shows that not all war movies have to be gunfights and
Saving
well,
Private Ryan.
yeah, which I love Saving Private Ryan. It's awesome, but this movie was not trying to be Saving Private Ryan. It was trying to be something else, which I really appreciated. I thought the overall execution was very creative, and
Hmm.
I can't think of any other movies that have done something like this. At least maybe this well, I should say. Because I can think of a non-linear movie. Harrison, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Oh yeah. So overall, and it's interesting because it's just not, it's all the tense, like all the tense situations where uh had nothing to do with like being in a gunfight. It was more like it was either crap we're being fired at
Hmm.
while sitting in a boat, or crap this
Or
boat is
walking through the
exploding.
streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's also another scene in the movie where these guys are trying to escape in a boat that they find beached on these soldiers that are trying to escape in a boat they find on the beach, and it's beached, and they get into it, and the German soldiers start shoot like so only about like maybe half like a kilometer or so away. There are German soldiers on this hill, and they're shooting at the boat because they think it's unoccupied, and they're just doing it for target practice. Um, and then the tide comes in, and the guys get out of the boat. This scene. We see this scene happening again from the perspective of the air pilot or of the RAF pilot, played by Tom Hardy, and we see it again from the perspective of the civilian in his boat.
Yeah. And um again, very very interesting, very creative way, I think, because doing non-linear storytelling, at least in my opinion, can be very hard to do well, because
Hmm.
it's just more difficult because you have to take into account like creating a story, yet it's still making sense.
Hmm.
um People still need to, or should be able to, at least kind of know what's going on. And I say kind of because, again, in Dunkirk, it's like, hold on, I still had to think about, okay, hold on, what's happening.
Hmm.
Um, but it was good, and it was very interesting. Um, Another one really cool detail that I liked is that throughout the entire movie, there was a clock ticking the entire
Hmm.
time until like the very end of the movie. Um, and that's part of the film score, which apparently wasn't like, well, I was gonna say which apparently wasn't super good, but then again, that's just
The
some.
the soundtrack?
Yeah, but I guess I'm hearing this from kind of a different perspective of like just listening to it. It's like, because when you have a film score, it's kind of like you are, some are better. Like sometimes you can sit down and listen to it, like as if you're listening to regular music, or some it's kind of like you kind of have to watch the movie.
Yeah, Dunkirk was definitely the latter.
Yeah.
I think Interstellar, another one of so Hans Zimmer produced both the soundtrack to Interstellar and the soundtrack to Dunkirk,
Oh, he
and
did.
both of these were Christopher Nolan movies, and both of them were actually like they were very similar. The soundtrack to Saving Private Ryan is less similar, or excuse me, the soundtrack to Dunkirk is more similar to Interstellar than it is to Saving Private Ryan. Um,
Did Zimmer
which
also do Saving Private Ryan?
no, I think I don't remember who did Saving Private Ryan.
I'm gonna guess John Williams,
It
but
might have been
I
John
don't know
Williams.
a whole lot of uh, composers, but it's the fact that Spielberg did Saving Private Ryan, and
Yeah, and
him and John Williams have worked together. So
hmm
sorry, continue.
well, um, I think I like Interstellar's soundtrack a lot. I listen to it sometimes, just kind of on my own, without watching the movie. But I think that it's definitely better to watch it with the movie, and the same is true of Dunkirk.
Yeah. However, I guess I feel like I'm not 100% able to talk much about film scores, or
Hmm
maybe not super in depth, simply because I don't really listen to a whole lot of film scores. I just don't really listen to them, and I don't know as much about, I guess, film scores and stuff of the kind, and printers being dumb, and my computer feels the need to notify me every single time scan to computers not working. That's
hmm
annoying. Anyways, um, but yeah, that's something I heard from this one guy that I follow on Instagram. So
Yeah, it's definitely. And also another interesting thing that they did was they never gave the characters names, or only a few characters had names. I don't think any of the soldiers had names, and I think that's good. I think that's a deliberate choice by Christopher Nolan because these, unfortunately, the guys in the movie are soldiers, and they're meant to be kind of expendable.
yeah, dang it, why does my scan to computer freaking? Anyways, sorry.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, I thought that was really interesting because I also kind of think that having, like, not giving the soldiers names, um maybe force the people to, I guess, relate to them or feel for them, and for like different reasons, because obviously when you hear someone's name it's a lot more personal.
Yeah.
However, when you don't, it's not as personal, yet you're watching these people go through really, like, stressful situations. It's kind of like, holy crap, that's awful, guy.
Yeah,
um
it's hard to watch sometimes.
yeah. One thing I didn't 100, like, one thing that I wish they would have changed about the movie is during the scene when the beach is getting bombed. You didn't see,
Which
like,
one?
the, well, I want to say all of them, but like,
Well, actually, wait, aren't they all the same scene? No. Aren't they all the same event? Just no, I think it's multiple bombings of the beach just from the perspective of the soldiers.
yeah. Anyways, but the first bombing, at least, like, there was no blood, at all.
Yeah.
Which I thought
Uh,
was, it's like, it, I get, how I think of it is like, this is a war movie. Show how brutal and disturbing war is. If
well, to
some
be
guy
fair though, it like
explodes, have him explode, you know?
yeah. Well, to be fair, like guys were thrown into the air. Uh, I don't know.
There was, it should have, it wasn't bloody, and it would have been. Like, if that happened, there would have been blood. There was,
Yeah.
like, no blood in that scene. And so it's like, I I think that they should have done that, because, like, uh, it would have made things more realistic, and
Hmm.
again, it adds to the disturbing factor, but it's the fact that it's war. It's like it shouldn't be sugar coated. That's how I feel like,
Yeah.
because like using Saving Private Ryan for an example, that movie can be a little hard to stomach at times,
Yeah. Definitely.
but
There's a
it's
reason why the opening scene of the movie is seen as like the most brutal, one of the most brutal war scenes
yeah,
in movies.
yeah, because Spielberg just didn't want to sugarcoat anything, and it's like
Yeah.
when it's something like, well, I don't think there's a lot of things, I guess, that I feel like shouldn't be sugar coated. But then again, I'm not a
Hmm.
big fan of sugar coating in general, because I guess another way I put it is beating around the bush. You're not getting to the point.
Yeah.
Um, but
Or
that's,
you're not telling a faithful story.
yeah. It's like if you're not telling the truth, then what's the point?
Yeah.
It,
That's
that's a whole different road. That's not particularly about Dunkirk.
yeah.
Could be an interesting discussion, but
Hmm.
uh,
But not the one we're having right now.
yeah. One thing that I really did like about Dunkirk, though, is I thought the costuming was done really well.
Yeah, no, the costuming was great.
Is very, I felt like it was very historically accurate, and not just looking at the uniforms, but like the civilian clothing. Uh,
Yeah, I there's a character named George. When Tommy and I got out of the theater, we talked about how great one of the character's sweater vests were, and I
yeah,
really wanted his sweater
it's
vest.
a Fair Isles sweater, and
Ooh.
uh, that's the name of the pattern, and
Hmm.
I want a sweater like that so much.
Hmm.
Like I've been looking for some for a while, but haven't really found anything in my size.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very classic, very uh yeah, just a classic kind of gives a vintage look to everything.
Hmm.
Um Perfect for like fall and winter. Um
Hmm.
yeah. It's it's probably it's probably the reason why I haven't been in so much luck finding one, because it's August.
Yeah, and I don't know, like sweater vest is probably like wool, like thick, not like wool. Certain wool garments, like uh I am having a brain fire right now. But certain wool garments, like thick wool garments, with really with really small uh,
A tight weave.
weave, yeah, tight weave, um, can last for a long time. But I don't think a wool sweater vest is something that would last a long time
Just
because
take
it's a very open weave and it's easy to tear.
Well, it's also knitted too, or at least
That's
good
true.
ones are knitted.
Yeah.
Um, just take care of it. That's
Mhm. Well, yeah, but
um
I mean, a lot of them aren't taken care of.
for shame.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, for like the father who owned the boat, uh,
Hmm.
his like he was wearing a spear point collar shirt, which this is the 40s,
Hmm.
1940, so it's like it totally makes sense that he would have one,
Hmm.
where because they were like the most popular shirt collar in the 30s, and the fact that it
Hmm.
was 1940, it's like,
And he was also kind of an old man.
yeah, he was an older guy, so it's like it would totally make sense that you would have it, or that he would have it. He also had a beautiful three-piece suit, and
Hmm. In the beginning,
gray.
he took it off, or he took off his jacket and his hat.
Yeah, but then he put on a sweater.
Hmm.
But it was or some thick wool,
Some thick.
thick 2 C's,
Hmm.
some awesome like wool sweater or something, because he was on the high seas and it was awesome.
Arr.
High
Yeah.
sea, it's like it's not orange soda, but
I don't.
it's like an
What?
orange Powerade thing that I've
Oh,
seen like on a soda fountain.
I don't know.
Anyways, but yeah, costuming was awesome.
Hmm. Definitely.
But I also love the 30s 40s styling.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna guess that his suit was flannel. That's my guess.
Yeah, or fresco. No, no, no. That's what. Okay, that's what I was trying to reference earlier. Fresco. I didn't mean to say that his suit was fresco because it did not look like fresco. I was trying to say that fresco, which is a very small weave wool, can last a long time.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. Ah.
Yeah, but also
Hmm.
worsted wool, and it
It's the worst.
but also the best.
Mm.
Depends on the season.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so I guess that's Dunkirk. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's definitely something. It's different than you would expect it to be. I expected it to be different. I didn't expect it to be how it was. I was kind of thinking, oh, it might be like a Saving Private Ryan or whatever, but
Hmm.
completely different. But it was very refreshing. It was very refreshing to see something different, something new, something that I can, sit and say, wow, I haven't seen anything like this before. And
Hmm.
I'm all for changing up the game, changing things a bit.
Hmm.
So if you haven't seen it, I would recommend seeing it. It's definitely an interesting movie and something I think that will definitely something I could say stands the test of time almost.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good movie,
Yeah.
and that's
And
all. Excuse me. That's all I've got to say, really.
yeah. All
Uh,
right. Well, I guess that means the end of our conversation about Dunkirk.
hmm Now, if you're interested, our sponsor Audible has is a great sponsor for podcasts, and we go to audible.com and use our promo code Strange Old Men hashtag pound sign hashtag.
Hashtag pound sign. So
I know.
so what we would do, so you do the hashtag and then you write
Well,
out,
that's just three hashtags.
oh, three.
Yeah, a pound sign is also like means
I know what a
hashtag.
pound, so like
Okay.
what I was thinking is, so you do the hashtag, then you type out pound sign and then
Hmm.
another hashtag.
Yeah.
Kind of like how people do the XXX underscore
Yeah.
weird Xbox Live 12-year-old gamer tag underscore XXX.
Yeah. Don't remind me.
Is Hotel Mo 123?
Shut up, Tommy. You were legit gamer 117.
And I own
Cannot
and I owned it.
cannot. Yeah, I owned my old gamer tag for many years,
Yep.
but no longer. That was an embarrassment.
I feel like one has not lived until they've had a cringy username.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
we've all had a cringy username.
yeah. The best usernames.
Ugh.
uh well, I think that kind of calls it for this episode.
Yeah.
By the
Well,
way, we were
everybody.
not sponsored by Audible. Just
No,
making that clear.
except we are. Tommy's lying.
It, no. I don't want Audible to find out and then sue
No,
us
Tommy, they're
for,
not gonna sue us.
if anything, they're going to sponsor us.
Yeah,
Reverse psychology. Take that, Audible.
we're coming for you, Audible.
We protect, but we also attack.
Attack. Yep. All right, Tommy. Now, please, everybody, it's been nice having you, but please get the hell out of our cave.
And then we'll see you next time.
But until then, seriously, get the hell out. Get out of here.